To defeat an enemy, you must know them. Not just their battle tactics, but their history, philosophy, art. Welcome to the Chiss Ascendancy podcast.
Well. Hello and welcome back to
The Chiss Ascendancy.
Oh, it's episode 105.
We made it.
Yes. So, Samuel, hello.
Dude,
What's up?
welcome back.
Welcome back. As you might have known from the teaser and things like that, we have launched a whole new slew of things.
Yeah.
So just when I thought that I was riding off into the sunset by myself, you got a new laptop and got the itch.
Yep. I don't want to, get too in the weeds here. I started going through some of the old files I created, all the intro music and all the music for the shorts and all that stuff. I actually created that back in the day. And I was like, man, that was fun. So I was like, what's something we could do that would be an easy amount of content and something that if you watch the teaser trailer, which I had a lot of fun making today.
Yeah, that was fun.
I talked about they got to hold some documents. They may wait in our faces. It sounds dumb, but if you're a fan of the show for a long time, you would know that we named the show Chiss Ascendancy after our favorite character together, Thrawn.
Yep.
And for my birthday several years ago, Josiah got me this graphic novelization of the Heir, the Empire Trilogy. Mm-hmm. And I thought it would be fun if once a week we go through one issue of this graphic novelization.
Yeah. One per week for a trilogy of books, and each book is six issues.
Yeah, 6 issues per book. So we've got 18 weeks.
Yep.
You saw it here first.
We've been getting ready for this for 2 hours.
Yeah.
And the dog next door hasn't barked one time.
Welcome back to the upstairs of my dad's house. So, starring those squirrely little
pups,
those squirrely little so-and-sos in the backyard. They let me know what they're up to all day long. So, here's a little mood setting here. So
an opening crawl, if you will.
Imagine we're dimming the lights. It says The New Republic, Volume 4, which is the first book series in this line of comics. So it's the first book in the Heir of the Empire Trilogy, Issue 1. 5 years after the destruction of the second Death Star, the Rebel Alliance has driven the remnants of the old Imperial Starfleet to a distant corner of the galaxy. The Alliance has established its fledgling government, the New Republic, in the old Imperial Palace on the planet Coruscant. By the way, you guys have no idea how nervous I am not to mess up a word here, because we're doing this in one take. The Rebel heroes, Princess Leia Organa and Han Solo, have recently married and are expecting twins. While Leia's
dirty dog
got busy. Leia's brother Luke Skywalker has become the first in a long-awaited new line of Jedi Knights. But thousands of light years away, the Emperor's greatest tactician has taken command of the shattered Imperial fleet, readied it for war, and pointed it at the fragile heart of the New Republic. For this warrior has made vital discoveries that could destroy everything the rebels fought so hard to build. Almost made it.
Yes.
Yeah, just a nice little visualization there for what we're doing.
So we did a soft launch of what's next for the podcast, and our goal for those of you who are catching up or whatever, long form stuff remains Chiss Ascendancy, and then we'll have short form stuff, whether it's short video, short audio, shorts, all that kind of stuff. That's Lore Wars banner, and the longer stuff, the traditional look that we built our church upon. is going to remain at the Chiss Ascendancy.
Yeah.
And
So
that's
we're going
the
to keep
idea.
it here. We're going to keep it home, literally and figuratively.
Yeah. So we're excited. We're going to jump into, and we're just going to do one a week. And some might be in person. Some might be over calls. We'll try to make it in person as much as we possibly can.
Yeah.
And because that's where the magic is.
That's where it is.
And so we have agreed that we're going to be our silliest selves.
Yep.
And really jump back into who we really are.
However, we're also going to try and keep the reins on the horse a little bit. We're not turning that little puppy loose. So we've got a nice little format we'll be working with every week. This is going to be a little bit longer because we're doing the unnecessary.
The whole series intro and everything.
Yeah. So it's going to be a little bit longer intro here than what we'll be doing hopefully moving forward.
Yeah.
But
So if you are listening or watching on YouTube whenever you're at home, obviously this is catching you by surprise what we're covering. However, it's almost going to be like a little book club for the next little bit.
Yeah.
So
these are readily accessible on
you can find them on Kindle
you go.
or whatever you do digitally. I'm sure you could find them out there in the stormy seas of Pirate Bay if you're looking.
yo ho ho.
Yo ho ho. But we are reading the Heir to the Empire
You know who's a fan of
trilogy.
Pirate Activity?
Yeah, exactly. Who?
Oh yeah. Sorry, I'm a
Samuel
child.
rediscovered his
I
Star Wars
found-
soundboard.
You're gonna get a little bit of lore dump when we were starting the podcast, however many years ago.
5 years ago.
5 years ago. I spent 8 hours of a day collecting various sound bites from the internet and categorizing them in an Excel spreadsheet and putting them into a patch in GarageBand, which we use to record our audio.
Yep.
And I found the flash drive that I mapped all of those files to. So we're able to do little live sounds again, like we did way back when.
Absolutely.
Having fun with it.
Yeah. Jumping right back in. And so the cool thing is, if you're going to be jumping right back in with us, obviously we're going to go through issue 1 of Heir to the Empire. And so the 3 books are Heir to the Empire, Dark Force Rising, and The Last Command. So we are currently obviously in Heir to the Empire number 1. And there's some really good stuff in here. So we're going to try to keep it 30-ish minutes. This one's probably going to be closer to 40 minutes or so, but our goal is to make it manageable for you guys at home as well. So cover for the first one, we get this lovely Luke Skywalker in his kind of training gear looking thing. Very vascular.
Yeah.
Very Hugh Jackman Wolverine.
You know what?
Luke Skywalker here.
You know what
and
I
the
think of
chattest
when
version of
yeah,
Thrawn.
When I see Thrawn, and forgive me if I hit the wrong button here. We're getting going, but I really feel like when I look at that, it feels so good.
He looks like, I don't know what the name of that meme is, but the Chad meme that's just got
Giga Chad.
Yeah, that's exactly what Thrawn looks like in this.
It does. It's really
Thrawn.
funny that you thought that, because I was like, this is Crimson Chin Thrawn here.
Yes, dude.
He is chiseled.
He is. He's pretty much the opposite of what the Thrawn from Ahsoka looks like.
Yeah. So this is a very different, if you're familiar with what we've talked about Thrawn as in the new canon. This Thrawn is much more robust in his villain characteristics. I feel he's much more savage. He's willing to do some necessary waste for the sake of his mission.
It's interesting because the Thrawn that we have in canon now he's in the known galaxy for the sake of the Chiss, and Thrawn in Heir to the Empire is 100% Imperial.
He's all about the Empire, baby.
Yeah, which is sick. And like, they're just already in this first issue. He's like asking, his bodyguard Rook, like, do you got something you're pointing that gun at?
Yeah.
And he's like, yes. And he's like, do it then.
Yeah.
And he freaking blows up this whole freaking home or whatever. And he's like, I'm gonna ask you again.
Yeah.
Like,
He's like, you've seen the consequences of shooting at me.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
Figure it out.
Obviously.
You know what's crazy is kind of getting into the meat and potatoes of this issue. I don't know if it's just because it's like similar to the original trilogy. It's just like a lightning in the bottle type scenario or what it is.
This is what... sorry to cut you off.
It's got so much already in the first freaking issue.
This is what brought life back to Star Wars prequels era. And it's very... you're getting all the big hits here. It's...
Right.
You've got, a 300-something page book, and it's being summarized into 6 20-page short stories.
Yeah.
So you're just getting all the beats. You're not getting any of the extraneous interactions. You know, it's freaking hit after hit after hit. It's no skips.
You're getting the Dragon Ball Z Kai version of the story.
Basically,
where it's like, we only want the stuff that's like no filler, no freaking, no extra BS. So in the very
Mind
first...
eraser, no chaser, as Joe Schreiber would say.
Nice. So starting off, you're on the bridge of the Chimera, and it's your intro to 2 huge characters. Well, 3 really. First, you have Admiral Pelion.
Captain Pelion.
Yeah. Sorry, he's Admiral later in the Legends lore, but he's Captain Pelion, and then after that, you're gonna get Rook, and after that, you're gonna get Big Old Blue there.
Yeah, big old Grand Admiral Thrawn.
Big old Grand Admiral Blue Balls.
Big old doesn't my white uniform make my red eyes pop Thrawn. Longest middle name you've ever heard.
Yeah.
Very cool guy.
The Chiss, they do have long names.
They do, yeah.
Yeah. Mithron, my white eyes, red eyes, you through.
Mithron Eurodo. So one of the cooler things that we see here is you see kind of historically in the Empire, sometimes when it's not specifically Vader or the Emperor, they're kind of panicking, you know, we got to get this working ASAP. And you have both Pelion and Thrawn who are instituting order with a calm air.
Yeah.
You know, Pelion has some younger officers yelling at him across the bridge, and he says, "This isn't a cattle yard. You don't simply yell information in the direction of the recipient." Hilarious dialogue, by the way.
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the old, is it from, I think it's from the original Honeymooners, like back in the day, where there's that one line where Ralph is trying to ham it up for Alice, and he's like, he said such and such, and Alice goes, I heard him. Which is a line you always loved growing up.
Yeah, that was funny.
Captain Pelion, this guy's running across, for some reason hitting Zeke Heil. You see it in the picture.
He's hailing him, you know, like you see a cartoon. If
If
you ever see a cartoon mouse like hailing a taxi cab, you know, bye-bye now.
Which I guess he is an Imperial, so it makes sense that he's...
Oh, gosh. Okay.
Anyways, moving on. But yeah, he says... I
think I nailed that verbatim.
Yeah, this is not a cattle market. This is the bridge of an Imperial Star Destroyer. So, yes, Pelion has this calm air about him, and I'm reading a fanfic novel which has Pelion in it, which is really, really cool, too. So I'm having all these... Yeah, it's steamy. So, but it's cool because I think Pelion... it's interesting because you're introducing these characters, right? And when you really, really want to overly break it down, which I guess is why you have a Star Wars podcast, it's like... I feel like Pelion should know Thrawn more by this book.
Yeah, it seems almost like...
They're introducing the characters to us.
Yeah.
But it's like, he goes and sees Thrawn. He goes to visit Thrawn in the his special room, which is, his room is a 1-of-1.
It's freaking sick.
It's a dope, like, you go into this hallway, there's a dark stairwell up into this room where he's got this dope gaming chair.
You ever seen Neil Peart in concert? Where he's just got a freaking...
where he's like upside down.
He's got like an infinite buffet of symbols to like do 360. It's like that, but it's holographic art.
Yeah.
And he's just studying as he does.
Yeah.
Civilizational art and trends and getting inside their brains, which is what we love Thrawn for.
Yeah. It's just funny because Pelion, this is 5 years after Return of the Jedi, and Thrawn's been in the Unknown Regions that entire time. Yeah. So... conceivably, he's been on the Chimera this whole time. You would think so, yeah. With the same crew. So Pelion's been with him for 5 years at this point, minimum, you would think. Yeah. Right? But he walks into Thrawn's office. Let's just call it an office. Obviously, it's a freaking whatever else. But he walks in.
I like the word chambers.
Chambers. He walks into his chambers. And then Rook is like... Gesundheit. Like, jumps out, you know? He kind of, in my head, he's the bat from The Great Mouse Detective.
Yeah. Do you remember that time you sent me on an errands run for, I don't know, it was an emergency supply run during, like, a conference or something, and I sent you that video. I was like, I got the tools, I got the gears, I got the uniforms. To let you know that I'd acquired all of the items you sent me.
I got it all. I see trees.
Yeah, right.
So it's just funny how I know that they're introducing the characters to us.
Yeah.
But what if in the world I just picture like Palion's like crapping his pants every time he every time he goes like Grand Admiral Thrawn, and he's like he's just like there right next to him. So he's
It really does kind of, in this context, shape Palion as like the most competent baboon you've ever seen. Like, he's large and in charge on the bridge, and then just loses all semblance of decorum when he rolls into Thrawn's chambers.
Rook. So you meet Rook, you meet Palion, and then of course sitting in that
The
super
bad man
sick
himself.
Yeah, super sick chair is Thrawn, and he's studying art, and they're in the Abroa Sky system, and essentially he's studying the art, it seems like, of the leadership of the fleet that he's going to be interacting with just shortly. And right after that is when they have their first showdown with the New Republic. This is the first time, whether you're watching a comic or you're reading the novel, this is the first time that you're getting to see Thrawn in action against the New Republic. And of course, he pulls off the Mark Sable maneuver, which is used again in Clone Wars. Dave Filoni borrowed that from Heir to the Empire, which is the maneuver where the ship turns belly up like it's been taken out of commission.
And correct me if I'm wrong here. I believe the text says a 20-degree port side yaw. Is that
that is correct?
Is that correct?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Let's see.
What a memory I have. I read that once this evening.
We just lost a sentry ship. Yeah, it says, let's see, a 20-degree port yaw rotation, correct? Drop docking bay deflector shields, TIE fighter squadrons launch when ready.
Yeah.
So essentially, you're showing them your back, and underneath the belly of the ship, all the TIEs are flying. And then as you're approaching, thinking that everybody's dead in the water, they come over and overwhelm the enemy.
And
so it's your first time really seeing completely overwhelming.
Right. And Palion is saying it's never going to work, and Thrawn in true Thrawn fashion. And we're going to have to cover a lot of ground after this because we're spending a lot of time on the first 2 pages. But he's like, of course they will. That dude driving the main ship is an idiot. You know, he knows what species he is. He knows what his mental barriers are based on the art and what he's able to comprehend quickly or deal with or assimilate to on the fly. And this ain't it.
And those of you who, let's say, there's a surface level Star Wars fan, there's a strong fan, there's a fan that's seen all the cartoons, and then there's like the Legends geek that knows both sides of material. If you're 3 levels down and you've watched something like Rebels with Thrawn in it, this is equivalent to, he's got what's called the Kalikori, which is basically like the family tree. Yeah, the family tree for the Twi'lek people, and you can see like, okay, what's valuable to these people, and that he uses that against Hera.
Yep.
And so it's a similar thing. This is the first time when you think Empire, you think there's a billion of them, it's brute force, they're just going to overwhelm you with numbers. And Thrawn, basically with minimal loss, takes out, an opposing, not a whole fleet, but an opposing group of individuals. And it's your first time going, oh, holy crap, this guy is all brains. Like,
he's calm, cool, collected. He's in charge. He makes an initial sacrifice to make things chaotic, and then pulls those ships back. It's more devious, I would say, than the Thrawn we have that's now in canon. He's not going to make any unnecessary sacrifices. And Thrawn in this series will for sure, for the sake of making a point, accept some losses.
Yeah. So imagine you're playing chess and you're like, oh, I just took out your rook. And he's like, checkmate.
Took out your rook.
Yeah. Good one. But yeah, there was one.
Once I make my move.
Once I make my move. No, Ron, no. Stop it, Ron, you can't.
Anyway.
He's going to sacrifice himself. There's a specific panel that really stood out to us where there's panic coming out from the bridge. We're under attack.
Yeah.
And Thrawn says, this is Thrawn. Go to red alert and tell me what we've got going on calmly, if possible.
Yeah.
He's and that's how in charge he is.
Yeah, he does.
Switching scenes. Okay, moving right along. We're on Coruscant, and we're actually on top of the Imperial Palace here. So
Imperial Palace, and correct me if I'm wrong, the Imperial Palace was built upon the ashes of the Jedi Temple. Is that correct?
That's my understanding, yeah.
Okay. Because I think that's the legends. I think in canon now, Palpatine had already started construction for like the new Senate chambers, and that kind of became
something to that effect, yeah.
Okay.
And you're having a very Mufasa moment where he's picturing Obi-Wan
off into the
sky.
clouds.
Now, there are several things that we miss from the novel when you're looking into the comic.
Correct. They're trimming all the fat. There's some fun interactions and dialogues that definitely aren't going to make the cut. One of the things that we both talk about, it's kind of a love-hate relationship with this fact, is when you see Luke in this setting, he's obviously having some introspective turmoil. He's thinking about, why did Ben have to go? What am I going to do? I've got to make this whole government. He literally tells
C-3PO he's depressed.
Yeah, and C-3PO's like, should I make that exotic drink that Lando introduced you to? And it's freaking hot chocolate. It's hot chocolate.
It's called hot chocolate.
It's so, is it really? I didn't remember if it was, I just remember it being so thinly veiled that it's hot chocolate.
So there was huge backlash on this back in the day.
Okay.
Because they were like, hot chocolate, Tim? And Tim sounds like, the ship's called a Millennium Falcon. What do you want from me? He was like, the Millennium Falcon, as described by George Lucas himself, is a burger with an olive on the side. So it's basically like, what? I like hot chocolate. What's the big deal? It's funny because, you're having Luke, and it's like a really, really strong, like, it's the "who made man's mouth" moment from the Prince of Egypt, and he's, it's that moment mixed with, when Mufasa rolls back into the clouds in Lion King, he's having that type of moment with Ben.
Yeah.
And in Legends, this is the last time that Ben
makes contact.
So one big, for those of you who are like, tell me something I didn't know. Legends lore, there's the living force and the cosmic force had not been developed in such a way that there's like, okay, if you're
Episode 1 changed a lot.
Yeah, if you're coming from a faith background, it's conceivable that like, okay, there's heaven and there's earth, and we believe that people who have died, or like angels or things like that, can transcend those two.
Or even if you've watched Dragonheart a couple of times, you know?
Exactly. Look to the stars, Lord. Yeah. But essentially, in this time in Star Wars history, the spirit of Ben had stuck around to guide and help Luke, but there's a moment where it's like, hey, I'm too far beyond the veil, so to speak, and I can't reach you anymore. So this is actually the reason it's so depressing for those of you who are going to check out the comic and start reading along with us week by week. It's not because he's just depressed that Ben's gone, because if you're a newer Star Wars fan, or if haven't read this, you're like, what's the big deal? He's basically there with you. Like, he's literally talking, run, Luke, run, But this is the end. This is the final goodbye, because Ben's spirit can't stay and communicate with the physical plane any longer. And that's why the depression's there, which makes it even funnier that C-3PO was like, perhaps a hot chocolate? That exotic drink that Lando told you about, which is hilarious.
You didn't ask about me, sir, but I'm all right. Classic C-3PO.
Yes. And Leia actually is the one that sends 3PO because she's growing in her force prowess. It's funny because her having an inkling about his, like, where his heart's at and his aura in the force, if you will, his force presence, her having that feeling to send 3PO to go check on Luke is like cooler than anything that she did in the sequel trilogy as a force user.
Truth.
Like,
I don't know, the Mary Poppins
thing
was pretty lit.
That bugs the crap out of me still.
I actually really enjoyed the training flashback.
No, the training flashback was fantastic.
That was very cool.
But I think we're both of the mind, which is very rare, that the Rise of Skywalker was better than The Last Jedi.
I don't think it's all that rare.
A lot of people don't agree with that.
I don't care. So yeah, it's hinting at she's becoming more developed as a Jedi, and also if we hadn't read the crawl, and if you have the digital copy, we actually just found out there's a discrepancy. The crawl isn't in the digital copy, so you're welcome.
Just jump in.
But this is the first introduction we have to the fact that Leia is pregnant, which is kind of a big theme moving forward.
Right.
We're leaving that. We've got a little story arc with Han. He's in what looks to be like the canteen in Mos Eisley.
Yeah, it's a seedy bar somewhere.
Yeah, it's some disgusting hellhole. And he's trying to meet with some smuggler contacts from back in the day.
Yeah.
And they're not buying it. So he's basically working as an agent for the New Republic, trying to say, hey, we're short on manpower. We're trying to hire literally anybody to do some regular shipping. Do you want to make some honest money? And the guy's like, I don't think so, Solo. You're a rat.
Yeah. So basically, he's gone too respectable. He's basically the tramp from Lady and the Tramp 2 Scamp's Adventure, and nobody believes him anymore because he's gone clean.
Yeah.
And so essentially, man, that's a deep cut.
That is a deep cut. Holy Moses. Slick move.
A world without fences. Anyways, I still think that girl dog was hot.
Wow, confessions we didn't expect after 11:30.
Okay, so so basically they need the help of smugglers to get things moving around. The New Republic, the concept is Tim is trying to explain to you how...
I can't get past the thought of your face on a t-shirt with the caption, I still think that girl dog was hot.
Hey, if they buy it, I will sell it. But Tim is trying to paint the picture that we're trying to build this government from the ground up. We don't know what the crap we're doing.
An uphill battle.
And we don't even have regulations for shipping and things like that. So they're trying to hire...
they also hint at disgruntlement between what's going on with the regular people and kind of teeter-tottering between certain sectors are controlled by the Imperial Remnant, certain sectors are falling under the New Republic. Han says something along the lines of their territory's been shrinking for 5 years straight. So clearly it's a little bit of a one-sided struggle, but at the same time, there's all of the law enforcement that Admiral Akbar is basically in charge of the New Republic forces, and he's a calamari, and
it hints that in years past, the Mon Calamari made it bad and hard for smugglers in general, and now that he's like one of the top dogs of the New Republic, why would we trust him? Which of course, butt-faced Borskfalia.
You know what they're thinking, the smugglers.
Go ahead.
It's a trap. That's what they're thinking. They're thinking he's trying to draw him out. They're not having it. And so Han's frustrated. He's kind of caught in the in-between. He's retired as a military general. He's, basically just working as a diplomat at this point.
And he really doesn't want to be working as a diplomat, but there's nothing else going on, and this helps Leia.
Yeah.
And so switching scenes from there, we get our first meeting of actually some really, really, really important characters moving forward.
Yeah.
This is...
In general, in all of the Legends material in this era, for sure.
Yeah. Maybe one of the biggest, most important developments in Star Wars Legends. You meet a young lady wearing kind of a black coverall outfit without sleeves, and she's got the little hood with the goggles. And this is, of course, Mara Jade, and she is working for Talon Card.
And Luke is into it.
Yeah, he's into it. We end up...
He's like, how monastic are we going to be in the new Jedi Order? You know what I mean?
I'm in charge. I make the rules.
Yeah.
Attachments are not forbidden anymore. Attachments
that's all systems go on the attachments there.
A world without fences.
What Ben doesn't know won't hurt him. You know what I mean?
Ben's gone.
He's gone, Ski.
If he wanted to say something, he would have stuck around.
Yeah,
throws a whiskey bottle against the wall.
It's
Ben
hot
doesn't
chocolate.
care he'd be here. It's chocolate milk. Okay, so we meet Mara Jade. She's working for Talon Card.
What do you think chocolate milk would look like if it was made with a blue milk base?
What do you mean?
You put chocolate in regular milk, it's chocolate milk. But you put chocolate in blue milk.
Blue chocolate milk?
You get like a purpley looking thing?
Yeah, purpley, I guess. Blue and brown, whatever that is.
Or it looked like the carapace of a fly.
Ooh.
I don't know.
Like a swirly, girly, like what gas looks like on the ground, basically. We meet Talon Card, and what we find out from the previous scene is that Talon Card is basically...
The big fish.
The big fish.
Yeah, he's the guy filling the Jabba the Hutt vacuum.
Yeah. Big
Allegedly.
shoes to fill.
Yeah. Big old non-existent shoes.
One large slug shoe. Does the shoe go over the whole bottom of the hut, or does it just cover the tip of the tail?
I kind of imagine it's like Jabba's top sticking out of a Christmas stocking. You know what I mean? If you got a Jabba the Hutt, toy for Christmas.
Okay. I was thinking a boot on the end of the tail.
That's more like a freaking tail hat. I don't know what that is.
It's pretty much pointless. But
It's like I watched Dragonheart recently, so we're gonna get a couple call outs. The little hat that the poet wears that's got like the long...
yeah. With the ears.
That's what that is.
You remember those hats they used to have when we were back in high school, and it'd be like a cat head or whatever. It would have it would have
The hand pockets.
the hand pockets.
Yeah.
Man,
Get the frick out of here.
so you meet these guys, and essentially, it's a very short-lived explanation.
If you see
of
somebody wearing that, they own a wearable tail.
who these people are,
You know what I mean?
Yeesh. And ooh woo. And so the Mara Jade's talking to Talon Card, and he wants her to move up and be trained to be his second in command. And while they're having that conversation, they get hailed that they are on the planet Merkur.
Yeah.
And what's so important about the planet Merkur is two things. There are Vornskers and there are Isalamiri. Vornskers hunt using the Force. Therefore, the native prey species, the Isalamiri...
I'm gonna go with the Mark Thompson Islamari. That's what I'm gonna stick with.
That's fine. They
not
have
gonna try too
evolved
hard.
to develop an ability to hide themselves from the Force. They create a force field. This is something George Lucas was not a fan of, and then he was okay with using Vong, but whatever. They create a sphere around them where the Force is basically null and void.
Yeah, the way Thrawn describes it in A Conflict to Come is that they push back the Force.
Yeah.
And you see a little bit of Talon Card's importance in that somebody tells him that the Chimera is the Imperial Star Destroyer coming in. He already knows who's in charge. He gets a contact with Pelion when he hails them, and he says, "Give my regards to Grand Admiral Thrawn." And he says, "Who?" And he's like, "Yeah, okay."
Yeah.
And he's like, "By the way, he wants those Islamari. Let him know that we'll help him out free of charge."
Yeah.
He knows.
Yeah, and Pelion's like, well, what are you going to do if we just come down there and take him? And Card's like, well, I'm trying to help you, you dickweed.
Yeah, he's like,
If you just pull them off, basically their claws grow into the tree branch, and if you
Yeah.
just pull them off, it kills them. So you need to have, basically, they make a backpack that has a tree branch on the back that the
this
Islamari
Lamari can attach to, and that's not really covered in the comic. That's another little shout out from the novel. But it turns out it really just jumps from that conversation to now Thrawn is going to a completely new planet in a completely new system. No introduction.
Yep. They're going to the planet Wayland. Mm-hmm. And if you are on that third rung of Star Wars fan and you've watched The Bad Batch, Wayland is where they have all of the clones they're trying to decommission or change into assassins. And Mount Tantus, you'll know from The Bad Batch as well.
Yep.
We're going to Mount Tantus here.
Mount Tantus in canon is a call out to this location that was in Legends. So it's kind of a really cool inclusion
cool,
of a very
deep
cool
cut.
location from old school material.
Yep. And so they get there, and Thrawn gets off, and he basically says, he gets off, and there's nobody there. It says, shy, aren't they? And he says, understandably. And then Thrawn says, I seek the guardian of the mountain who will take me to him. And we see an arrow being shot and hits the nose of the Imperial shuttle that they're coming out of. And then...
It's so cute.
Thrawn turns to Rook, who looks way cooler and buffer and huger than he does in Rebels.
Yeah, in the novelization.
And he says, hold, do you have the location? Rook says, yes.
Yeah.
Which kind of sounds like boss, but whatever. And he says, good. And then Thrawn says, here's just kind of a look into Thrawn from Legends versus Thrawn from Rebels in the canon. He says, one of your people just shot at us. Observe the consequences. And he turns to Rook, says, now. Rook shoots like a freaking bazooka and takes out like a whole section of this cliff, which is houses and things. And he says, those are the consequences of defying me. I ask once more, who will take me to the guardian of the mountain? And you hear,
pretty baller move.
I will.
Yeah.
And this lone old white guy comes out, and he's the guardian of the mountain.
It's like the Lorax, basically.
Yeah, he is the Lorax.
Yeah, and
I speak for the Wayland.
Yeah, he draws him in, and we have kind of a call an ambulance, but not for me moment. And
that's a very iconic photo where he basically says he takes him into the mountain, right? And he's being kind of coy. This is actually a very similar to like Yoda on Dagobah, like, I will take you to Yoda, yes.
The old switcheroo.
Yeah, so he's saying, I'll take you to the protector of the mountain. and he's the protector of the mountain, essentially.
Bada bing, it's me.
Yeah, and so he says, he takes me to this cave. There's a bunch of candles in there around a singular tomb, and Thrawn says, I see, so he is dead. Master Sabaeth says, these candles mark the graves of off-worlders who came here since his death. Thrawn asks, how did they die? I killed them, of course, responds Sabaeth, just as I now kill you. And turns, this is a very, very iconic panel that we'll put on the screen here. And it's the moment that Jorus Sabaeth turns, and that's a very important Jorus versus Joruus Sabaeth.
Yep.
You know, we'll get into all that.
There's kind of a little panel where Pelion, kind of makes the distinction, and Thrawn's like, yeah, Thrawn's in the know here. What's going on?
So,
he's figured it out.
Yeah,
he's always
Sabaeth
3
throws
steps ahead.
lightning, and it's completely disintegrated and dissipated by the presence of
Yislamari.
Yep.
Gives Thrawn a little bit of a tactical one-up-sees here. And basically Thrawn says, hey, I need all of the little relics that you're guarding. You're going to help me out. I need your help too. You're going to help me out.
Yeah.
And Sabaoth is saying, you're not going to make me. I'm going to do whatever I want. And Thrawn says, well, I have something that you do want, which is more Jedi. And he's like, there are no more Jedi. And he says, well, there's 2 Jedi. And also one of them is Preggers with twins. So 4 Jedi for the price of 2. And so Sabaoth is like, I like those odds. And so he's like, I'll help out. And I'm trying to rush through because we're already several minutes over this section.
No, you're good.
And
essentially, Thrawn has need of something.
Yeah.
Sabaeth has been guarding what we find out later is a huge
treasure trove of Imperial experimentation,
and
secret
we don't want to go
prototypes,
into too much detail because we're literally doing a week-by-week walkthrough. But it's a lot of very, very important, powerful things.
As far as he discloses to Sabaoth... it's gonna be Peng by the end of this. You know what I mean? Have you seen that clip of Benedict Cumberbatch? He's doing like voiceover for like a nature doc, and he gets like further and further departed from being able to say penguin. And he just like and like by the end of he's like Peng. It's just like he's got into his head about it.
So
he says he wants a functional, practical, small cloaking device.
Yep. And basically, Sabaoth's like, you have nothing to offer me, and you can't kill me. So, because ultimately, truly, he is a warrior. So it's like, hey, I don't have the Force, but I'm still a greater warrior than you. I'd like to see you try to kill me with your nobody bodyguard, yada, yada.
Yeah.
And basically what Thrawn, again, stepping outside of the normal Imperial box of, because we say so or we'll kill you.
Yeah.
He's like, no, I'm offering a trade. I need
He knows what he wants. He has access to it.
I need tech, and I also need your guidance. We find out, I guess, a little bit of a spoiler here. He wants to use... Master, whether you want to call him Sabaoth, whatever, to create a battle meld between the fleet.
Yeah.
And so he needs his particular help, and he's like,
that's a huge spoiler. Way to go, man.
Yeah. But he's like, what do you have for me? And he says, there are no more Jedi. You can't offer me anything. And he says, there are 2. There are 2 great Jedi. There's Luke Skywalker and his sister, but the sister is pregnant with twins. So you start to see... like this light go off in
instant legacy.
Sabaoth's mind, because the 2 are young enough to still be semi-molded, but the babies obviously from birth could be trained whichever way.
And you have to assume that Sabaoth is familiar with the name Skywalker.
Yeah, he would have been.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You have to make that assumption.
Which, because Sabaoth knew Anakin. Mm-hmm. According to
the Outbound Flight. And then this kind of like leads into our next little segment. There's
the boringest part of the story.
Yeah, anything that has to do with the Senate is.
But so essentially,
we're going to completely skip over that scene. They send Han, Leia, Luke out to do kind of a.
It's a lot of back and forth.
Mission.
Yeah, it's a lot of back and forth between.
There's a little
Akbar
wiener
and Borskfalia.
There's a little wiener. His name's Borskfalia. Yeah. He should be cool because he's a Bothan.
He's a Bothan, which sucks because we want to know more about the Bothans, and still haven't gotten jack diddly about him in canon.
Everything we learn.
But Borskfalia is like he is the worst part of all of the things about the Bothans. Like, Bothans are spies, so a spy obviously has the potential to be a backstabber and a liar, whatever. Yeah. And he's the worst part of everything about a Bothan.
He's intentionally halting progress unless it benefits him personally.
Yeah, because he wants to rise the ranks of this new... He sees an opportunity, essentially, with the new government. So they're sent on a diplomatic mission, and we think it's just going to be a regular hunky-dory hangout.
Yeah.
But this specific issue ends with... the main crew with, Luke, Han, Leia, all being cornered into this town square of this new planet that they're going to visit. And they're surrounded then by Nogri bodyguards who are trying to split Luke and Leia, is what we find out.
Luke is up in an isolated area by himself. He's surrounded by Nogri with web guns. Han, disarmed, is with Leia in the little town square market area. Also surrounded by Nogri with web guns.
Yeah. So the goal
Chewie is in the Millennium Falcon by himself.
Yep.
No comms.
Yep. So there's no communication. There's no way to get communication to him.
Yeah.
Leia and Han have no weapons, and then Luke has his saber, and he's not sure.
And his greatest ally, the Force.
Yeah. They don't know if he has that on accident or what the deal is, because they had to give up all the weapons. But the goal is capture Luke and Leia separately because they're Force users, then take them to Thrawn, who can then use them as the Twinkie on the stick in front of Sabea to make him do whatever he wants. And that is...
he will bring himself to you, and you will bring him to me.
So,
I always love that.
We are basically 7% through this story, according to my Kindle here.
7 approximately 1/18.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I'm not a mathematician. I sell cars. But that's kind of the story of where we're at right now. And so what stood out to you? We'll go through some things that really stood out. We kind of talked about them as we went. But anything in particular that was really fun for you in this reread? Because obviously we've read the stories before. We've listened to the stories before. I've personally listened to the Empire Trilogy in Mark Thompson's old Thrawn and his new Thrawn voice. So I'm very familiar. We literally called it the Chiss Ascendancy podcast because that's the character that we really both identify with.
So, funny enough, one of the main things I want to, one of my main standouts, very first frame. What do we see?
Of the very first frame of the
very
whole thing?
First frame.
Okay, hang on. Let me go back. Making me work for it, I see.
Yeah.
All right, very first frame. TIE fighters going through light speed.
Oh, been queuing that for a minute. We got TIE fighters doing
hyperspace.
Light speed.
Yeah.
Or I guess hyperspace, which is something that if you were a Star Wars fan at the time, you would have known.
They're not supposed to.
They're not supposed to. So we've got some sort of special, and this is, obviously going to lead forward into what's, canon Thrawn material now, but I thought it was really interesting.
That is interesting.
To see that, that they included that, and it's, there were some things that they included, like there's this one panel, Han's making an aside remark, and Leia's like, no. We're getting a very, if you watched Avatar: The Last Airbender, the animated series, none of the other garbage that they tried to shove down our throats. We got a very Sokka Han here in the comic series so far. Quietly competent, but also kind of they try to get Leia by herself in the market. He's like, I like markets, just inserting himself into situations. And he, is like, here we are at the planet. They got moving trees and fur, and I read that panel 4 times.
You did a deep dive into Wikipedia. Yeah. I asked ChatGPT. You made fun of me. But there was we couldn't figure out what the heck he was talking about.
Yeah, apparently there are trees that are able to, on Bimasari, move their branches of their own accord. And I'm sure that's something that explained more thoroughly in the novelization, but some interesting choices, but as far as things cool to include, I thought that was a nice little touch.
Very cool. Panels for me, obviously, that first iconic panel of "Come in, Captain," because when we read it, I asked you if you did, and I guess I'll clip this and send this to you, Mark, but we both read this in the old, when you read the old book, it talks about how it was like a gravelly cat-like voice.
Yeah, it's silkier. You've got a kind of a refined gentleman that's the modern Thrawn. This Thrawn was a little oily.
Yeah, he's, to me, this Thrawn is more intimidating
Yeah, I would say so.
than the new Thrawn.
Yeah.
They're both fantastic.
The new Thrawn is like, he's your manager that's going to have your back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would say the old school Thrawn is more traditional Empire.
Yeah.
He'll throw you down if he needs to.
Yeah. He does things differently than Vader does, but it's like he'll make an example of you if he needs to.
Yeah, absolutely.
This Thrawn is so competent that it's, Timothy Zahn has said this several times. I'm sure I've said it 100 times on the podcast, but Thrawn cannot be defeated unless something that was completely unpredictable takes place.
Yeah.
And they did a pretty decent job of doing that in Rebels too, where like, who can plan for the freaking Bendu?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What sort of Jedi devilry is this?
Yeah.
That's a great sound bit if we have that down the road. I know we don't right now, but the come in captain panel is freaking iconic. We both died laughing at the tell me the situation calmly if possible.
That's great. The dialogue with Pelion, first thing out of the gate where he's like, it's not a cattle market. I don't know. I was just yucking it up.
Very funny. So some really interesting things, and then explain to the listener and the viewer at home. So we obviously know the full-fledged story of what is going to happen. We've read and listened to the story several times.
Right.
But we wanted to put some what-ifs in there, help the listeners at home understand the point of the what-ifs for a story that we already know the end to.
Well, we kind of already have the recreation of this era in canon material now, and Josiah, I wanted to give some concessions to him because I took it upon myself to make the kind of template for this. He likes to say, what do you think's going to happen? I say, well, freaking find out when it happens, I'll just be disappointed if I get my hopes up.
Yeah.
But Josiah likes to think, and he likes to, well, maybe this will happen.
I
And
do like to
to his
speculate.
credit, he's been right more than me. But, I just thought it would be fun to
I
kind
will
of
say, when I guess, and I've been right, it's some of the coolest stuff they've done with Star Wars recently.
I would say you've done a remarkable job of anticipating things that I just wouldn't have thought that they would do.
Yeah.
But,
Whenever we say something and they do differently than what we say, it's always not as cool as what we said.
It's less cool for sure.
Yeah.
For sure less cool.
Yeah. So your concept is, if this was our first time reading this,
Yeah.
what do we think would have happened had we not known?
Or knowing that we know what will happen or will have happened, what would you change, or what do you think would be like a cool little transition?
Oh, okay. Do you have ideas already, or are we spitballing?
I'll just take one off the dome here.
Go for it.
I think they could have done a better snarky remark for Han,
On the planet?
going on to Bimasari. It just out of context, it made no sense to me.
Yeah.
I think there were better ones. Han's obviously a very clever guy.
Yeah, I think that if I would have changed something, I think that's a really big one. I think explaining why Luke is in such a sad state of mind, it's spelled out A to Z in the novelization, but in the comic, it's like, Ben, why did you have to leave? And it's like, that could just mean, why aren't you here with me physically? And I know that they draw the picture of Ben like in the clouds.
In
but
the
it's
dialogue,
like,
Ben's
what the hell
already
is that supposed to mean?
halfway out the door.
Yeah.
On this one.
I think had I read this for the first time and I was like, okay, in another week we'll get another one of these, or another, I guess it's once a month you get comics. I would have...
when the Kylo Ren, I think it was once a week.
Was it once a week?
Yeah, we were very excited for them to come out.
I think I would have been... Just based on what I like the most, I would have been like, oh crap, I guess Han probably figures way out of this. What's going to happen to Luke?
Yeah.
I'd be worried about Luke more than anything. And I would want to know more about like who the Nogri are. That would be my thing. I think that would be the thing that would keep me up at night, because I would want to know, because there's a panel here on the very, very last page that says, we've got trouble. And then Leia says, Han, who are they? And then he responds, don't know, never seen anything like them, but those things they're holding are Stokely sticks. They shoot a paralyzing spray net 200 meters.
Which is a crazy distance,
Which
by
is
the way.
crazy, yes. 200...
To shoot a fluid 200 meters, nutso.
Yeah. So...
The mechanics behind that,
yeah.
bonkers.
The Nogri are much more intimidating and much more creepy in the comics in the
I think
description
so.
from the
I think
other
so,
stuff?
certainly. And I would say that they have not done an incredible job introducing us to
The Nogri?
Yeah, because maybe I'm just being too critical because it's been a while since I've actually read the novels.
Mm-hmm.
I seem to remember having a better grasp of what the Nogri were, or at least, maybe they didn't spend as much time on it because you can actually physically see them, and maybe they were just hoping that would be enough. But I think Rook is such a big part of Thrawn's personality that more than just a name mentioned by Pelion might have been like a good move.
Yeah, I think so too. And this is kind of changing topics a little bit, but do you think that with Rook having been defeated seemingly during Rebels, do you think that the Rook typecast for the new Thrawn is the Night Sisters?
Rephrase that for me. I don't think I know what you're asking.
I'm trying not to spoil the comic. So you know how the relationship between the Nogri and Thrawn pans out.
Yes.
Do you think that the Night Sisters fill that placeholder in canon?
Oh.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yes and no. I can see what you're definitely saying. At the same time, as we discover who the heir to the Empire is and, where they hail from, I would say not, just because their allegiances are
there's
more
a big
unique.
swing that happens. Yeah.
And I would say that, I think that they're much more ignorant in their allegiance.
Yeah. That's
than
fair.
the Night Sisters would be.
Wrapping up what is for me personally, and then if you have something, feel free to chime in. I think that I am so drawn to villains. I think everybody is. And
A good villain.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. The villain makes the content.
Yeah, Thrawn
ultimately.
is an excellent villain.
So meeting
You're almost
Thrawn...
I don't know. Maybe you're not. I'm rooting for him. You know what I mean? Every time I'm reading it, I was like, what if he wins this time?
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Meeting Thrawn, meeting Sabaoth, their weird combo, and then I would definitely, knowing myself, if I was reading this and I had to wait a week or a month for the next issue, I would definitely be wondering what is next for Thrawn. I would be worried about Luke, but I would not give two cares about what's going on in the New Republic. Like, I still don't care.
Yeah.
Like, in canon now, they're like, oh, the Republic's... I don't care about that.
Yeah.
Put Thrawn on screen. That's how I feel. So I would want to know what's going on with that. I would want to know...
It's the original Thrawn Trilogy Arenda Price arc for me.
So if you've listened to books or watched Rebels, Arenda Price is the one that looks like the girl that says, I want to know, from Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull.
Yeah.
She's the one that blows up the fuel depot in Rebels, if you've seen that show. And it's just like every time you're reading that novelization or listening to it, it's
insufferable.
Yeah. The first
could
time
not
through,
care less.
you listen to the whole thing.
You listen to it because you're like, maybe there's not an important detail.
Yeah.
So I literally, if I'm listening to it, just like I'll revisit it, refresh, the details. I'll hit next chapter on that.
Yeah.
I don't even feel bad.
So, fun little issue. And then the title page for the next one really doesn't give us a lot to go on. We're on this world.
And much more traditional art style, I'll say.
Yeah. It's a copy and paste of Han
Do you have
from...
the next page of Luke?
Yes.
Yours? Okay, yeah. You get a real Chad.
This one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I'll put it on the screen, or if you want to zoom in here, I'll put it on the screen.
One of my favorite things about this series is you get to see Luke on a level that you don't get to see him in canon material, except in the Kylo Ren comic line, which you probably weren't expecting, when he's fighting the Knights of Ren.
Yep.
Absolute thug.
Yeah. There's like 8 of them, and Luke's like, here, stay over here if you don't want to get hurt.
Yeah. He's like, hey, check this out.
Yeah. There's one hand motion I think he does where he's like, and it's, I don't know, just the way that it's drawn is so like,
Yeah.
It reminds me of the bounce pass lightning that Snoke does. But yeah, the very, very, very first page of the next issue, which I guess is kind of, cheating or whatever, but it's so freaking cool and we won't get into it. You, of course, can read it and then we'll be back in a week. It's just his ownership of his place in the Force and his power, and just like during the original trilogy, right up until the end of Return of the Jedi, he's very like, uh-oh, let's see what happens. And just like every time he's fighting Vader, if you look at this, it's just like he's got this stance where he's kind of like leaning into it and he doesn't seem as sure of himself. And one of the things that made Vader so intimidating is how he holds the saber so willy-nilly, you know? And in this very first thing, you've got Luke, he's in all black, he's got a cape, he's still a good guy, but he's got a cape, he's wide, powerful stance, he's got the saber in one hand, and the other hand is a closed fist, and you're like, I know these Nogri are pretty crazy, but everyone in this room is screwed because Luke's about to do his thing. That's the vibe that you get, you know. So we'll be back in a week, and again, we're going to flesh out the entire Heir to the Empire trilogy. So hopefully, if you're a fan of the podcast or you just like listening to us jack around, we've got a good little bit of content for you, and then fun little lore vids and things like that in between. So, Samo, thank you so much for having me over and getting stuff rolling again. And
it's been sick.
If you like this, make sure you find us on, obviously you've seen us on YouTube, or you can find us, if you're listening to us on Spotify or Apple or whatever, we have a YouTube page, we have an Instagram page, we have a TikTok, we post shorter stuff and infographics there, so find us at the Chiss Ascendancy podcast. Of course, you can see our link tree and everything in the description wherever you're looking. And remember, the Force will be with you always.
More importantly, remember this. Man, those dogs are barking loud. The only family you have here is me. We'll catch you next time.